Let's continue with this next chat. This season's MetOpera staging of Verdi's Aida. It's a sumptuous production by Michael Mayer with set designer Christine Jones. The story is of Aida, of course, who was suggested to Verdi by the French archaeologist Auguste Mariette. It's an imagined scenario set in ancient Egypt, where producer Michael Mayer was, of course, inspired to present it to us through the eyes of the awed archaeologists who may have discovered the buried palace and all its treasures. So it also showcases some intricate carvings, statues of pharaohs, deities, and ancient Egyptian life. And so this morning, joining us in studio is Sharmini Brookes, a freelancer, a review, in fact, to give us a little bit more about the season's MetOpera staging of Verdi's Aida. Sharmini, good morning.
Hello, Lisa. Thanks for inviting me.
This is so exciting. I know this is based on fiction, but I had to Google if it had some historical accuracy, just because of where it's set and sort of all the interplays. And I wonder if we're looking at the success of it all this years later. What makes it so unique, given all the elements that are incorporated?
Firstly, I think it's like just a fascination with Egyptian civilization. I mean, I still watch the Discovery programs, you know, when they discover and they dig in. And I think there's that. And so the choreographer and producer has built on that, you know, and used this almost like this Indiana Jones type archaeologist, you know, that comes along and discovers the tombs. And I still remember as a child, you know, the textbooks with the pharaohs and the gold and the carvings. And it brings that to life because they're using this new digital technology at the moment, which can, so you see the carvings on the walls, and then this technology almost brings them alive, you know, in front of you. So it just looks stunning, you know, and you just sort of see the whole scene just being created.
It allows you to be transported back into the world. And I think it's also just an African story of, you know, success, of women ruling, and some of the other dynamics of power
there are,
play
because
also.
Obviously, set in Egypt, but in those days, there were wars, you know, in Africa. And this is, sadly, it's a war between Egypt and Ethiopia. So Aida herself is a prisoner, an Ethiopian princess who was captured, and she now is the handmaiden to the Egyptian princess. Sort of ironically, the guy she falls in love with is the general who's won the war. But both of them are in love with him, and that's the tragedy. So it's a bit Romeo and Juliet there, you know, star-crossed lovers, you know, warring factions, but they try to overcome all those divisions to be together.
It's nuanced and there's an intricate play. It's a beautiful story. I even wonder if we look at the adaptation this time around from the original. I mean, what would have inspired Mayer ultimately? We would have drawn inspiration to adapt it for this edition.
Well, I think really his work, you know, as an archaeologist, he would have been fascinated, you know, by those sort of discoveries. But then he obviously knew Verdi and the music, and so imagined the scenario, you know.
Let's talk about the music, the Triumphal March as well, because I mean, that's the crescendo. That's literally what we all look forward to.
And it's what everybody kind of would have heard at some point without realizing what it is, probably.
And also, I don't want to give away too much, but why do you think it becomes such a pivotal role for the production at large? Just for people who haven't seen it, obviously, and don't have context to what we're speaking about.
You mean the
Triumphal March, just the crescendo of it all. I mean, that's for me, at least, that was the crescendo, the crux of it.
It's just the music, it's the beat, you know, the whole rhythm of it. You can, you know, you want to sing along, you know, you want to march along, and it's just a joy. All the kids would sort of want to, you know, dance to it, really, because it's just energetic. It's got that real rhythmic beat of the march and celebration, you know.
So speaking of celebration, I want to look at the democratization of opera as well, just like its accessibility. I mean, we sitting perhaps in a privileged position, having seen it and reminiscing about it and looking forward to this, but for people who don't understand it, perhaps who are new to it or being introduced to it, it's now on Netflix, it's now on YouTube as well. Talk to us about that evolution. What are you witnessing on that front?
Well, you know, I mean, I wasn't naturally to opera either. You know, it was
Okay.
something that I got into much later,
Okay.
while I was in London, actually. And, you know, little touring companies used to come round to the theatre and just show us excerpts of operas, you know.
Okay.
And then because I was in an area that was seen as poorer sort of area in London, you had these kind of benefactors who would give free tickets to local people to go and see operas in Covent Garden, the English National Opera, and places like that. And so I took up that opportunity and became, you know, you become accustomed to it because you just have to Google and you can find out so much about it, and you can listen to the music.
Yeah.
And I think people should take children along, you know.
Yes, it's an enriching
and
experience.
just experience it. You
Yes.
don't. It's often associated with, you know, rich upper class type people, but actually, it isn't. You know, we
Yeah.
have to just overcome that. And I think things like YouTube and Netflix allow people to find out about it. But I still think you can't beat seeing the full staging, you know, on a proper stage. The Met Opera comes close with filming it for the cinema because you can get that feeling. But everybody says you can't beat actually going to a theatre to see a proper production if one is able to. They are expensive, but, you know, hopefully we can get benefactors who would help people to achieve that.
As we wrap up, I know that you're speaking about excerpts for you. A piece of the production is also going to be staged. So tell us a little bit more about how people can access it on that front. Is there any such...
Well, I mean, I would go onto the Met Opera site itself, and they will then... you can hear excerpts of, you know, they will provide videos and excerpts and an explanation, a synopsis of the play. So you can find everything on that site. But also go onto YouTube and just put in Aida and you'll get all kinds of productions.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, for sharing this this experience. I'm drawn into the world. I certainly can't wait for more. But Sharmini Brookes this morning, I'm just joining us and exploring the world of opera. Of course, diving into the magic of Verdi's Aida. And of course, don't forget to catch that preview of the upcoming opera productions. It's happening this March. But as we leave that conversation there, I'm going to hand it back to Sims. He's standing by with some more action.